Hey everybody, I'm Todd, and this is Sweet Tea Guitars. Thank you so much for stopping by the channel, and welcome to the Great Guitar Build-Off 2022. Alright you guys, in my last Cloud9 video, we got the Cloud9 build up to this point. I got frets on the neck, but none of the fret work's been done. Everything is just like I hoped it would be. I love this guitar so much, you guys. What we need to get done in this video is I want to get this guitar up to the point that it's ready to have some finish wiped on it. Now I'm staining this guitar. I want to try and keep this Padauk orange red as long as I can, and it's not turning on me too bad at this point. As you can see, I love the color of Padauk, and I love the color it turns after it sits for a while. It gets that deep, rich, nice red brown color, kind of like the neck's doing. Anyway, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Great Guitar Build-Off. One thing I wanted to tell you guys one more time. In my last video, I took the opportunity to thank all the guys at Crimson for putting me first in the highlights reel that those guys released. I had no idea those guys were going to put me first on that video. Thank you to all you guys at Crimson. You guys you've changed my life. I don't know what else to say about it than that. You guys have all been so overly nice to me. I try to let everyone know that follows me, at least, that I am a huge supporter of Crimson Guitars. You have brought so much inspiration and so much joy to my life. Ben, you know I already look at you as my mentor and the person I basically hold responsible for not only my tool addiction that I have now developed, but also for getting me into this beautiful, beautiful community and this beautiful craft. So thank you, brother, so much, man. I really appreciate everything you've done for me. Let's get to work. I want to start to shape the back of this heel right here and this neck. I want all that shaped together so it flows. I'm going to bring this down slightly thinner than I did the figure 8. And even though I've got this carve cut in here already, like that, you guys can see that, I am going to extend this up through here. And I'm going to ramp this whole thing down. We'll preserve this this carve right here because it's already super comfortable going up into the upper registers of the neck. But I want that recess to cover anywhere your hand would be on the back of this guitar. So let's start getting that cut away. Now I'm probably going to have to grab the shin toe. I feel almost certain of it. But I want to break these corners off of this before we go to the shin toe. So I'm going to rake this back at a pretty shallow angle to start with. I don't want to take this too much further in this way. I want to preserve the bottom of this neck pocket best I can. And I'm just going to continue to turn this guitar back and forth, work on it, move it, work on it, move it. And then when I get to a point that I feel like I'm getting close, I'll start picking it up and feeling of it. I'm just going to let the camera record, and when it runs out, I'll let it stay off for a little while because I know you guys don't want to watch me sand. I mean, the last video I released on the figure 8 build is me doing exactly the same thing. I'm planning on preserving some of the thickness on the base side of my neck back here on this heel. I want to ramp that down this way All right, you guys, I've been working on this thing for a little while, and that's where we are. I still got some cleanup to do, but it's getting there. I love this little detail work like this, I really do. All right, I'm gonna grab some sandpaper on my little block right here. We need to go to 80 grit, and let's start working on this right here, because that's gonna be the most difficult part to get right, is right in here. That and the volute. But I really love carving a volute, and I really love shaping in this hill transition. It's almost invisible. All right, you guys, when I left off last night, we were sanding on this guitar. I got a good bit of work done, especially up in this area. I really wanted to concentrate on getting this transition finished. I carved some new bevels in the back. I got a curve going on right here now. Just makes it smooth up against the body and everything, you know. So that's kind of what I was going for. All I want to do is get the file marks out. You guys know the deal here. And I know sanding's boring, but I won't make you guys watch me do this the whole time. I'll show you a few clips of me getting it to the various points in the sanding process, and then we'll move on. Let's start catching some of these sides right here. And I'm going to continue to use 80 grit. Smooth everything out and get this ready so I can go up through the grits progressively. All right, you guys, I've been working for a little while. Again, trying not to bore you guys to death with all my sanding. Mainly on the back. I want to get the back wrapped up before I even turn it over. So I've got all my bevels cut in pretty much like I want them. I forgot to drill my wiring pads in here before I glued the neck in. So we need to get that done. I'm going to use an 1/8 inch installer bit. I can't believe I came out perfect. I'm right down in that corner. We're in. Oh, I feel better now, you guys. I was a little bit mad at myself for forgetting to do that. We're going to sand this whole back up to 150, which is what's on here now. I'm going to use that to smooth everything off, finalize everything that we need done on the back. I'll hand sand this guitar with 240, then 360 Super Aslix on a hard block once we get the random orbit sanding done. I'm going to take this 240 grit Super Aslix, which is slightly used, and I'm going to sand the back of my body with the grain. All right, so we got a brand new sheet of 240 on here. I've got a bit more sanding left to do, and then we're going to start thinking about getting some color put on this guitar. I am anxious, but I need to be careful. I wouldn't want to discover that I had not sanded this guitar well enough to accept stain. I don't want to see any scratch marks or anything like that through it. So we're going to go over this thing with a fine-tooth comb. We're going to figure out any little areas that need touching up, and we're going to take care of that right now. I have got my Super Aslix block without the hard interface pad on it, with a sheet of 360 on the block. I'm going to take my Super Aslux pad with the hard interface pad on it. I'm going to line that up directly on that edge, just like that. Now I've got a nice hard flat block. We'll use the soft block to get any of our contours on our headstock, anything like that. On the front and the back of the body, however, and even around the flat parts of the sides, we're going to use this hard interface pad to finish out everything, get it up to 360 all over this guitar, and then we're going to start thinking about getting some stain wiped on here. I watched Brett from Lucifer Builds. I watched his latest video today, and what a guitar Brett has built this year. He's calling it the Cadillac's Escalade, which I think is just an absolutely creative name. But then again, Brett's a creative guy, so what a beautiful guitar. You see a guitar like that being built, and knowing how much, how much heart Brett put into that build, it makes me want to push just a little harder, to make certain that I'm getting my guitar up to the point, the best I can make it. All right. I don't have to go crazy. I've gone over this guitar with 360 already on the back. Make sure you look at your body in various lighting conditions, or where it's reflecting across the body at various angles. That way you can see if you've got any uneven lines. Up on this end, I want a sharp line where my bevel meets the top, but down here where it meets the body, I don't care if that's sharp. I want that smooth. This is the time, you guys, where your level of give a damn shows right here. I'm going to give the back a once over, get rid of all the metal, anything that may scar our body. We're going to take our hard block, our 360 block right here, start with it nice and clean, get rid of any little marks that we've made by handling the guitar. You don't want your finger oils interfering. Now we're using a hard wax oil on this guitar, so it's not going to have that much of an impact. But if we were doing a 2K urethane clear finish, I would make certain that I was handling this guitar with gloves on from this point on. All right, so I'm happy with that. Let's get after our neck real quick. I'll use our soft block, at least this part, and I've done this many times already, so our neck's pretty smooth. All right, you guys, we're back in the shop. Today is Saturday, September the 3rd. We need to get this sanding and all this detail stuff wrapped up so we can get some stain wiped on this body. So, in the interest of not boring you guys to death, and I've said this a couple of times throughout this video, I filmed all the sanding, but I left a lot of that out of the video. I only hit the high points when I felt like I was making a point worth talking about, I guess. Anyway, there's a couple of things that I want to get done before we move to the front of this guitar, do the final sanding. We're going to wipe some stain on this thing tonight, I'm hoping. First thing, I've made another executive decision. I started thinking about that 5-way selector switch wiring thing I was going to do on this guitar. And the more I thought about it, the more I felt like it was going to introduce some problematic issues for me. What I was talking about doing in the beginning of this video, or in the beginning of this build actually, was making it auto select coil splitting on the 5-way selector with a push-pull on the tone. I started thinking about that, and I should have routed the slot for the 5-way selector switch in here first, and I should have thought about where I was going to put that before I drilled these 2 holes. So in the interest of time and in the interest of making sure this guitar ends up looking like I want it to, I'm going to use a standard 3-way switch and wire this guitar for 1 3-way switch, 1 volume, 1 tone. I may put a push-pull on the tone so I can coil split the bridge. We'll figure that out when we get to that point. The big problem I have is where to put that thing inside this cavity. I would want my 5-way selector switch to be out of the way of my hands when I'm strumming this guitar. So knowing that this right here would potentially be my volume and this would be my tone, I don't have room in my cavity without crowding up this space right here to put that 5-way selector switch. I've got plenty of room up here, but that's in the strum path, and I would constantly be hitting that selector switch by accident. So what I'm going to do is drill 1 more hole in the front right here, move my volume to the front a little bit. As long as I can get to it with my pinky while I'm playing, that's fine. And that's just kind of a general rule I use. It's not even something I do that often as far as volume swells with the knob and all that stuff. But I can preserve that angle. Put that volume knob right here. We'll put the selector switch right here. And since I don't tend to mess with the tone too much when I'm playing, I'll put it at the very back. If I decide to do a coil switch push-pull, I can do that on the volume or I can do it on the tone. I don't know exactly which one I'm going to do yet. I could also make both pickups push-pull coil switching. I could put a push-pull pot on the volume, push-pull pot on the tone, and I may do that. The big change here is the fact that I'm going to use a 3-way switch instead of a 5. I think it's going to look better, and that's what I've decided to do. So really, all we need to do right now, I want to take some more depth out of the bottom of this cavity. I've got a good 6 millimeters of thickness left, pretty much the whole distance of my top, plus a little bit of thickness left on the Paduke. I want to route that down until my potentiometers and my switch will go inside this cavity without a big issue. I don't want to get it too thin. We're talking probably 4 millimeters. So I only really want to take off about 2 millimeters of this bottom. Let's get that done real quick. Then we're going to flip this body over, final sand the front. We're going to start wiping some stain on this thing, you guys. I'm super excited about it. Let's get going. All right, let's vacuum up a little bit. I'm feeling better about it already. I've come to terms with the decision I made to switch to a 3-way instead of a 5-way. I'm okay with that. So let's just start hitting the front of this body with this 360. I'm already sanded up to 360 on this thing. So this is just touch-up is all this is now. I do have to run over and hit my bevels one more time. We'll take our 320 block and let's just run over these bevels with the grain. And one thing you really want to be careful about when you're dealing with a multi-wood bevel like this, where that maple goes into the Paduke, you've got a feather line right there, which is where the maple gets really super thin. When you're using a figured piece of wood, it's super important to go up through the grits progressively, making certain that you remove the scratch marks from the previous grit out of this bevel. That's the only way you're ever going to get a nice hard line. It's all about the details, you guys. I mean, to me, that's what I think anyway. When you get to this point in a guitar build is when you start to separate the guys who want to do this for a long-term thing and the guys who only want to build a couple of guitars. I already have been through this process several times and decided on guitar 1 that this was not something I would be able to give up ever in my life. This is what I do now. And if you can get rid of it, you should get rid of it. Don't even question yourself. Just go ahead and spend the time. You know, if I had to estimate how much time I had actually spent sanding this guitar, just so you guys know, I would estimate maybe 4 hours just hand sanding, possibly even more than that. We're going to wipe this guitar down to start with some naphtha. Look at that flame maple, you guys. Jesus. Look at that. That is so beautiful. This should really highlight this Padauk. Look at that, you guys. Look how beautiful that is. That has got some beautiful, beautiful glow to it. We're going to start the staining process at this point. So I've been looking forward to this since I started building this guitar, actually. I've wanted to do one of these linear fade finishes for quite some time now. And I'm really anxious to see how this is going to turn out. We need to start off by dyeing the top of this guitar black. Then we'll sand it back and we'll start our blue fade stain. So I am going to use Angelus Jet Black Leather Dye. I've got crimson stunning stains right here in black. This is a water-based finish. I think it's going to take it way longer to dry. I want 2 coats of black stain on this top before I start sanding. And then we're going to need to start sanding that black back and leaving only the highlighted grain. Before we start this, we're going to tape up the end of this fretboard here. So let's get that done first. Now we're taping up ebony, so I'm not like super concerned if it gets a little black on it. All right, we're protected. So let's shake our black up real good. Got my gloves on. I'm going to try to keep this off my bevel, so I'll start in the middle. The key to this is, I'm told, that you don't over wet your cloth. And I already know I'm going to have to sand on these bevels, so I'm not super concerned about that. But I don't want to, you know, if I can help it, I don't want to get it all over it. I've seen some guys take denatured alcohol and wipe down the top in a circular motion and suck back some of this black. I want to have to go through that sanding process on this guitar so I can get any of these little imperfections that I'm seeing in this body out of there. I can see right now that I need a little bit more sanding work in here, down here near the front of the bridge, around my neck. All that's going to be taken care of with the 320. We're going to do that here in about an hour. So I'll let this dry. I got a fan going on it. I'll come back down. We'll sand this flat, start applying some blue. I almost forgot, you guys. We got to do the headstock. I don't even have to go all the way up to my fretboard because I'll be cutting that to put my nut in. I want to see what this thing's going to look like with this blue stain on it. I can't wait You guys stick around. I'll be right back. All right, you guys, it's been a bit longer than an hour. I've been up at the house editing video. It's actually been about 3 hours. It's about 11:30 Saturday evening. It's approaching Sunday morning, but I wanted to get some blue or some purple stain wiped on this guitar so we can wrap this video up. So I came back down here when I got done editing to get this finished up and to show you guys what this blue is going to look like on here. So what we're going to do, I've got some 320 grit put on this flexible sanding block, mainly just so I don't get my finger profile sanded into here. So let's start sanding. And we're probably looking at about, I would say 15 minutes of this or so is how long it'll take us to get this sanded back to a level that I'm happy with it. All right, you guys, I want to hit this just a little bit more, and I've switched over to using the 360 Super Acelix. So I want to get right in here just a little more. We'll brush this, but before I start wiping on this light blue, we're going to take the vacuum off this top. We'll put a glove on, and I'm going to try this light blue here. If that's still too dark and not what I want, then I'll move to the turquoise. I got a feeling this light blue is going to be a little bit too dark. Now that'll be the perfect blending color between the turquoise and the blue jean, but I think turquoise is going to be the color we're after. And just to show you guys the difference, see how much lighter the turquoise is. So we're going to wipe this whole top down with turquoise. And then this turquoise is probably going to pull out a little of that black. I'm going to wipe one more coat of this turquoise over this body just to make sure we get nice saturation. So now we're going to go to light blue, and I want to line right in that area. Pretty dang cool. So now I'm going to take my turquoise rag. We'll start to pull some of this blue down into here. We're going to go to the blue jean. Now we'll keep going back either to the light blue or the turquoise. What we'll probably do is keep pulling this blue down in, because that turquoise has got a little bit of a blue-green cast to it. I would prefer that it be more blue than blue-green, because I don't think the blue-green is going to look too good when I go with the purple. We're going to start pulling some of that blue jean down into this. All right, you guys, so the camera ran out right in the middle of me applying that navy blue. I didn't want to wait. I'm blown away by it, you guys. We absolutely are achieving a linear fade. So let's go and try and see what's going to happen when we go to purple, to see if we're going to maintain this dark or if the purple's going to serve to lighten that up. If it does, I can always add a little black up in there. All right, so that's going to be our lightest blue. That's super vibrant right in there. So I'm going to start to pull some of that dark down into here. I don't think I'm going to mess with it anymore. I am actually pretty dang happy with that. Let me show you guys straight on the camera. What do you guys think about that? I mean, let me know for certain. I think it's awesome. I think it's vibrant as hell. And I can't believe that it turned out this good, honestly. You guys, I think once I hit this with some oil, I think this thing is going to catch on fire. You know, that is a really super cool fade right there. I love that. I will absolutely use this technique again with some red and yellow, or some red, orange, and yellow, possibly even some various colors of brown and honey and amber. I think a linear fade can really add to the look of a guitar. I've seen a bunch of PRS guitars done this way, which is what actually gave me this idea. You guys all know that I buy wood from C. Jacobs, right? I've got something I want to show you guys that will be going on a guitar of mine. It's probably going to be a while, 3-4 builds from now. But what I have gotten from C.Jacobswoods is, I said that walnut looked like it came from an alien planet. Wait till you guys see this. This is California Buckeye burl, you guys. Look at that. Is that not sick? Yes, it's got a huge bark inclusion in it. I don't even care. It's hard to get Buckeye without inclusions. There's tiny little inclusions all over it. That's the nature of burl. I can fill those creatively, or I can just use black epoxy. I have never seen any wood like this up close. This stuff is just phenomenal. So my thanks go out to Cyril and the guys at C.Jacobswoods. Brother, you have outdone yourself with this one, man. I love this stuff. Thank you so much. You guys keep coming back to the channel. I'm eventually going to use this. I've actually got a setup at the house wrapped up to send to Ben as well, because I know he loves Buckeye. One more thing and we're going to wrap her up, you guys. This is old growth lace pin redwood burl. This stuff is so beautiful as well. I don't want to wipe it down with naphtha right now. You guys will see it eventually. I've also got Ben a set of this up at the house wrapped up, ready to send over to the UK. Ben's two favorite woods, according to him, and I asked this question for that reason. Ben's two favorite woods are Buckeye and redwood. And I didn't order that with him in mind. But when I saw the opportunity to get 4 sets of Buckeye and 4 sets of lace pin redwood burl, I didn't figure it would hurt for me to share one of each of those woods with my mentor and my YouTube teacher. Ben, look out for that, brother. It's on the way. I am so excited with how this guitar has turned out. One more look at this thing. This is the Cloud 9 build, you guys, and I could not be happier. I love it. This thing is beautiful. I can't wait to put some oil on it, and I can't wait to play this thing. I really appreciate you guys stopping by the channel once again and checking out my progress on this build. Thank you so much to all you guys who are participating in the Great Guitar Build Off. Thank you once again to Crimson for putting the Great Guitar Build Off together like you have and turning this into such an inspirational competition. That's why I'm here. I could care less about winning this thing. I'm here for the camaraderie and because I am a member of the most beautiful community on the planet, in my opinion. I love the fact that I am now a part of this community. I love it, you guys. Thank you so much for accepting me into the fold. And I'd love to thank Ben one more time for putting this together in the way that it's been put together. So we all have a chance to participate and show our skills, learn some new skills from each other, and have fun doing what it is that we love to do so much. So thank you guys. I hope the message of the Great Guitar Build Off is not lost on any of you guys. What it's all about is sharing information, coming together as a group of people from all over the world with one goal in mind, and that is to build an absolutely beautifully unique guitar. I think everyone involved this year is accomplishing that task, and it makes me so happy and humble to see all the killer work that's going on this year, you guys. So have fun at all costs. Come back next year. As long as there's a Great Guitar Build Off, I will be a part of it. Keep coming back to the channel. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. Hit the notification bell so you can find out when I release my next video. And until then, you guys, as always, peace and love.